Hey internet friends! Today's video is going to revolve around a topic that I get asked about a lot, and that's mainly by friends and family. I've been asked about it on a few of my blogs, but the general consensus of the question is, what are your Disneyland tips for having a magical day every single time that you go? Everybody's different, everybody has their own Disney tips. This is a video for all of you people that are going to Disneyland for the first time in either many years or the first time ever, which is crazy. These are some do's and don'ts that I've learned that'll make your trip awesome and stress-free. Here we go. The first do on the list is bring extra socks. Now, you don't understand how much I stress this, because let me set up a situation for you. So, you're at the park, it's a beautiful sunny day, and you and your group are getting ready to go on one of your favorite water rides, either Grizzly Bear Rapids or Splash Mountain. Everybody's on it, everybody's super excited, you have a grand old time, and then for the next 4 to 8 hours, your shoes are soaking wet. Now, your actual shoes are going to dry just fine, but your socks will never, ever dry. I highly suggest that you just throw in an extra pair of socks in your backpack or in your locker, and that'll make your trip that much more easier, just because you won't have clammy, blistery feet at the end of the day, and your feet aren't going to hate you. Now, the first don't for me is kind of a cardinal rule, but some people don't understand it or don't grasp the concept. So do not take flash photography inside of rides. We were on Pirates of the Caribbean, and the entire boat was having a great time, and within the first, it was maybe the first like 10 seconds of setting off from the dock, somebody in the very front of the boat just started taking pictures of everything in sight. Just flash. And before we even got to the first drop, the ride stopped. That's how many pictures were taken. And they had to tell them, please do not take flash photography inside the rides. Thank you. And we went down the first drop. We all thought we were in the clear. And once we got to the cavern scenes, they just started taking more pictures. No, it was awful. It was horrible. It got to the point where every time they took a picture, the entire boat was just like, why? What? Stop! Are you Satan? It was horrible. By the time we got up and back to the dock, the cast members actually confiscated the camera, and we were all so excited that we all gave a small round of applause. He not only got his camera confiscated, but he also kind of ruined the ride for everybody else. So don't be that D-bag. The next do on my list is kind of a surprise for people, but I always tell them to have a traditional treat that you can only find at Disneyland. And it doesn't matter if you're going for savory, you can get a chimichanga, you can get a turkey leg, corn dog, a hot dog, popcorn, or if you're going for the more sweet side of things, you can get a Dole Whip, which I highly recommend to everybody. If you've never had a Dole Whip, please, for your own good, just try a Dole Whip. They're delicious and probably the best thing on the planet. Fudge, you can do an ice cream, you can do the beignets in either the parks or in downtown Disney, either way, or you can get the Majestic Pickle, which it doesn't taste the same anywhere else except for Disneyland. The main reason I tell people to get a traditional treat is because it just enhances the feeling of being at Disneyland. While you're eating the food, you get that sensation of, I'm at Disneyland. I am at the most magical place on earth, eating one of the most magical foods on earth. And whenever you go from, there forward, whenever you get that treat, you're just going to have that warm, fuzzy feeling of, oh, I'm at Disneyland, it's so exciting. The next don't that I have on the list, I've seen quite a few times, and it does indeed piss everybody off. Everybody. Nobody likes you when you do this, and that is sending one person to save a spot for 5 to 8 people in your group. Here's the situation. So say you're waiting in line on Thunder Mountain Railroad, and you can see the turnstiles ahead of you. Light at the end of the tunnel is right there. You're so close and you can taste it. All of a sudden, you hear shuffling behind you. So you go ahead and you look, and there's 8 people snaking their way through the line, and the person in front of you is waving. Oh, hey, I'm right here. And once they get there, not only do you have to awkwardly shuffle back and make room for all these people, but the person in front of you has to push forward to make room for all these people. And there's like a whole train that you and your friends could have been on that is now occupied by this one person and their entire party. You throw the feng shui off of the entire line, and it's not fun. Nobody wants to sit there and move aside so somebody can cut in front of them, not just one person or two person, 8 people. Again, don't be that D-bag. Alright, so the next do that I have is more along the lines of this age group, which is the early 20s to 25-year-olds, and that is be courteous to the children around you. Remember, Disneyland is a family park. People work all year long to take their families and their children to Disneyland, and even though you may have an annual pass or you go all the time, doesn't mean that you can necessarily act however you want. People that I go with, I can admit, we can be some suspicious characters because we have tattoos, we have piercings. We look like a bunch of punks, basically. But the way that we've gone unnoticed and actually appreciated throughout the parks is we're very considerate to the children around us. That means keeping our language to a minimum, trying to be not as loud and obnoxious. If you kind of display yourself as an adult or at least a mature human being, people let you kind of slide under the radar and you can have as much fun as you want and not have to worry about being a rambunctious 20-year-old or 20-something-year-old at Disneyland. So it's possible to be a little bit of both. Another simple don't that I have that people are also kind of surprised about is don't try to map out your day because it never works out the way you want it to. Get a general idea of what ride you want to hit at the end of the day, what would make you happy that you've seen or that you've ridden, and just kind of go with the flow with it because no matter what you're going to do, something's always going to pop up and disrupt your plans. Have fun with it, stop and see some of the sights, get a treat here and there, and just let your little Disney spirit be wild. This one goes out to most of the guys out there. Go watch a show. And this worked for my boyfriend the very first time he went to Disneyland since he was maybe 5 or 6 years old. We all went to Disneyland as a group and everybody was jazzed and he wasn't really getting it until I made him watch Fantasmic. And he was in complete awe. And the next time that we went back, we watched World of Color, we watched the fireworks, and it was those shows that really, truly made him appreciate Disneyland because it made him feel like a little kid because he was just awestruck. If you don't think that you're the type of person to really get into the Disney spirit as much as your other friends over here, go to a show and you will just feel the awe and you will feel the magic. Another don't that I have, don't forget to stop and smell the roses. And that just basically translates to don't try and go so fast that you miss the little things that Disneyland has to offer. Take a break and sit down at one of the benches, enjoy a treat, people watch for a little bit, really soak up the Disneyland experience. Because if you go too fast, you don't have time to recollect your thoughts, you may miss something on the map, you may miss something that somebody told you and just completely forget about it. Winding down, my last do is do bring snacks. The average person walks 13 miles throughout Disneyland, and that's a hell of a lot. If you're only depending on Disneyland to feed you, you're going to spend a lot more money than you originally wanted to. That's going to make Dad grumpy, or you grumpy, or your boyfriend grumpy. So just get some snacks, throw it in your backpack while you're in line. Just take them out, munch on them, munch on some trail mix, some snacks. Just keep yourself going so you have that energy and you're not completely drained at the end of the day. And my last don't is something that people who don't live in Southern California don't realize. Don't assume it's going to be sunny and gorgeous just because it is Southern California. Crazy how much our weather changes. We go through mood swings. That's what I like to call it. Our weather system is bananas. Make sure you're always prepared for the opposite weather effects. Don't depend on what you think the weather is going to be like. Really do your research and just really be aware that you can switch it up. So if you think that your legs aren't going to be as cold as your arms, wear shorts and then bring a sweatshirt. Or if you think it's going to be the other way around, wear pants and wear a short sleeve shirt. And that's it. Those are my do's and don'ts. Those are my general tips. Go ahead and subscribe to my videos if you want to see more of them. I put out videos just about every week, usually on Thirsty Thursdays. If you have any ideas that you want to see made into videos, go ahead and post them down in the comments, and I will do my best to try and keep you guys happy. So I will see you guys next week.